Good morning, folks. It's Tuesday, September 8th here in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and my name's Deacon Taylor. I am the nominated candidate for Vice President of the United States for the Veterans Party of America. My running mate, Mr. Chris Keniston, asked me to be his running mate as he was nominated for the role in the Veterans Party of America, as we are going to restore this great nation and bring the power of government back to the rightful owners, the people. So for those of you that don't know, that haven't seen me before, I used to do videos last year, and several folks that I'm very good friends with through internet connections and such have been kind of asking me and politely requesting and in some cases flat out pushing me to continue to do the videos that I used to do. The challenge has been, since I was able to do them when I was doing them last year, is internet connection. When you live on a motorcycle on the road, you don't always have solid internet, and uploading videos takes an immense amount of data, and cell phone systems don't really work for that very well. Anyway, so since one of my good friends up here in Cheyenne, Mr. Devin, asked me to do this, I asked him to pick the subject, and so he handed me a subject: where America has been, where America is now, and where America needs to be. And so from my perspective, where America has been is we have been overrun by distractions and overburdened by the day-to-day just trying to carve out a living in this world. And what I mean by that is, from the beginning of the United States, the understanding was that the government was meant to serve the people, and it wasn't meant to interfere in our day-to-day lives. That was never the intent of the founders. But where things have gotten very convoluted is the two parties have really gotten people to fight with each other and to be distracted from what the government has been doing. And this is not an insult towards the people that work in government, because I know a lot of those people, and they are really good people, and they really want to help make America a better place. The problem is the leadership and their objectives don't align with what the government responsibility is. So specifically in regards to our day-to-day lives, how many of these laws that are being passed time and time again infringe on our individual rights, or give us the illusion that we have to go to the government to be able to have our individual rights that are guaranteed in the Constitution or in the Bill of Rights? And so there's this really strange inversion that has happened in our government, where businesses now have more rights than individuals. And there's all of this resistance to the government oversight of businesses and what they're doing. And I grew up in Wyoming. I am, to my core, a small government guy. I mean, that's part of my entire background. The problem is, small government, when it comes to commerce, is only possible when industry is responsible and takes care of what needs to be taken care of. And the greatest example of that is in the 1970s. We had air problems in this country that were so outlandish. We had people dying from inversions, weather inversions, in small valleys. And so the EPA was formed. And it was a really great concept. And then over the years, it's been used and twisted and manipulated into something that it was never meant to be. So like anything, it needs to be reevaluated and readdressed. And so that's kind of my example about big government. And there's other examples. There's the banking industry, where these massive banks got bailouts after they negligently caused the global collapse of the economy in 2006 to 2008. And so all of these little things are where the government, their job is to protect us from organizations that don't always have our best interest at heart. And it's not that these organizations are bad people. It's they are following the guidelines that their corporate models are established to, which is to maximize profits. So I get that. But that doesn't mean that we don't have an obligation to hold them accountable and put personal rights, personal liberties, and personal freedoms ahead of all else. Even from the social orders and the social issues that we've been facing lately. So where we are right now is the government has been so bastardized and so twisted by all of these special interests of organizations that will write the laws. I guess, let me clarify. They don't write the laws. They write legislation that then they hand to Congress, the same people that they have been either employing at some point in time or are currently lobbying and spending exorbitant amounts of money to get them back into office. And so these are people that are financially vested in what these lobbyists and what these special interests want done. So they take that 1,000-page legislation and they pass it to know what's in it. And that is dereliction of duty in every aspect of the term, from my opinion. And so that's not acceptable. And we've seen this time and time again, from the Affordable Care Act to the Dodd-Frank regulations to, on and on and on, where massive legislation is passed by Congress, whether it's democratically controlled or Republican controlled. They've both said the same things. We have to pass it to know what's in it. Absolutely unacceptable, and will not be tolerated under the understanding of what our Constitution is about and what our Bill of Rights are for. And so the Veterans Party of America was formed, and with that overarching tenement of the Constitution is the core, the people's rights and the people's representation is absolutely the fundamental base. And through this process, we have nominated a man that I can't even tell you. I met the guy very briefly over the time, but through our interactions through the internet and social media, I have grown to have a respect for this individual that exceeds almost anybody else I've ever had in my life. And I've known some pretty amazing people. So this is it. This is where we're going. And the future of this country, where America needs to be, is we need to have a representative government again. We need to have a government that, instead of 70% of the time, it does what industry or special interest wants, and only 30-some% of the time does what the American public wants. We need to flip that around. The industry should not be controlling our government. The people should be controlling our government. And through a collective of dedicated individuals, and it started with veterans, this organization, but it has been filled with first responders and patriotic citizens, and the collection and the growth of that voice has been unbelievable. We can actually have discussions in our party without people name calling and pointing fingers at each other, like I see in the news and like I hear in some of these coffee shops around the country. Because it's not about, am I liberal or am I conservative? Am I Democrat or am I Republican? Am I green or am I blue or am I red, or whatever color they all want to go by? It is about what is best for the majority of Americans, the American citizens. And so through that concept, this party, I know, and I have never been a party guy, but this organization, I know, will vote for the person, not the party. And this organization is putting the responsibilities of government back to where they should have been all along. We should always put the American public above everything else. My individual rights start and stop where they start to infringe on somebody else's individual rights. And any organization or business or religion or any other group, their rights start and stop where they infringe on anyone else's individual rights. So in the hierarchy, it's individual rights, organizational rights, states' rights, federal government rights. And we've had this government inverted where it's been a top-down kind of an approach, and that is not acceptable. And so that is one of the things that I know in my heart and in my gut that Chris Keniston stands for. So Chris Keniston, 2016, that's the man. that is going to help us restore our federal government back to the rightful place where it belongs, to serve the American public. And I am honored and privileged, and I can't even tell you how humbled to call him not only my friend, but my future president of these United States. So I'll do some more videos as I get back to places where I can, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of you that have been supporting me in this last year and a half adventure of going from white collar America and blue collar jobs my whole life to being actively involved in the process of what I would say is becoming a statesman. So thank you very much, and God bless these United States. Have a nice day.